After everything was installed, Jerry and Kyle walked in here to take pictures, and the first thing out of Jerry's mouth was, "I'm completely underselling you guys."
Just how nice the
He's
boy
like,
looks.
"Oh my, that thing is massive."
Yeah.
He's like, "Look at how great that looks."
Hello and welcome to the Daktronics Experience Podcast. I'm Justin Oxner here with Matt Anderson. Today we're in Huron, South Dakota for Huron High School and Huron Arena, home of the largest end-wall video display in South Dakota high school sports. But before we jump into this topic, let's start with our guests here, and we'll start with Scott. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here in Huron?
Yeah, I'm the activities director here in Huron, also kind of a dual role, serve as the arena manager here. Obviously, there's a lot of overlap there between those two roles as we play all our home basketball, home volleyball games here. Have a number of district events. This is a district building. So those two things come together, but we also bring in a lot of outside events and rentals of this building, some for sports, some for community events or statewide events. So this is a busy place, busier than a lot of people realize sometimes.
Yeah. And how long have you been in this role? How long have you been doing it?
I just am about to complete my first year.
Oh, okay. So then we always kind of ask, like, how did you get into this? Was kind of like facility management always in your background, education kind of thing? Or?
Definitely education background.
Okay.
Was a teacher and a coach for a long time, or it feels like a long time. It's all relative, probably.
Yeah.
And then was in education administration in Watertown recently, and then the opportunity to get back involved with sports and athletics came up with this position, and so we jumped on it as a family and moved here last June, July time window, and have been going since.
Okay. We'll throw it over to you, Michael. Then tell us kind of your title here and the whole. Tell us what you do here.
Oh. My title, effectively, I'm the network administrator, but I'm also the systems engineer.
Okay.
It's a dual role. I maintain all of the webcasting equipment, the audio systems, the lighting systems, and now scoreboards.
Yeah.
I've been doing scoreboards for 20 some odd years for the school with our old boards, and have been kind of involved with this project. That's kind of what I do for the school, mainly keep the networks running, and this. Now I'm really getting into video production
Yeah, I
and
was gonna say,
graphics and et cetera, et cetera.
So always a technical, like broadcasting type background for you then?
Broadcasting and audio and lighting. I worked in radio when I was in high school and in college.
Okay.
Local radio station. I grew up in Huron.
All right.
Moved away, got a degree in audio engineering, toured with a couple bands.
Okay.
There you go.
I run my own sound company in Huron, and so I do a lot of work for the South Dakota State Fair, stages, concerts, and then even their announcing for their events that they have throughout the summer.
It's a lot of live events work then too.
Yeah. So I did come in with kind of a technical aspect. I've been with the school for 25 years, and when I started, I was fixing printers and helping people get into their email. And then they started to realize that I had other talents, and so the job started shifting a little bit as time went on. Especially, I mean, it really became almost full-time during COVID, when we really heavily had to start doing distance learning and webcasting and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's when my title really started changing.
The other duties as assigned kind of part of it?
Yeah. You know, I'm involved in building projects and just a little bit of everything. Come from a family of engineers and contractors, and so I speak the language, and the superintendent and business manager have always kind of told people, if you don't know, ask Mike. So
There you go. All right. And we're here today to talk about everything that's been going on, and you said building and big projects going on, and we mentioned the big video display. There's also the center hung and other things going on and other displays. Can we start with maybe the beginning of the project? What's the history behind this project, and when did you start thinking about adding video displays and scoreboards to Huron Arena?
Well, and actually, like I said, in this role for a year, so kind of stepped into it at the tail end of the project. Mike can probably give a little bit more of the history.
This started about I want to say about 4 years ago. It might be pushing 5 now. We were looking to do what we did that long ago, just kind of shoot for the moon and see what happens. And we were taking the approach that we wanted to get some corporate arrangement, maybe naming rights to the building. It'd be great if a bank would do it, and then maybe we could borrow some of our own money and not have a lot of interest. And it all kind of fell through. Okay. And pandemic hit, and it just stopped. Mm-hmm. It wasn't going to happen, and so it was put on hold. And I was tasked with keeping our scoreboards operational. Okay. And they did have issues. They had been hanging since 2004.
I was going to ask how old they were.
Yeah. So, well, and at least in the arena 2004, at our football stadium, it was a little less, but because there were outdoor boards, they were dying also. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of incidents with them just because of age, mm-hmm. not operating, or something would blow out the night before a state soccer tournament, so to say. And so there were just really a lot of complications happening, and we knew they were end of life. It's just, how do you pay for it?
Yeah.
And so it was put on hold until the building project, really. We're expanding our high school and expanding our technical education classrooms.
Okay.
And we kind of borrowed money for that.
They lumped it into there?
Yeah, and so we lumped it into it with the intention that this will eventually pay for itself.
Yeah.
With ad revenue, et cetera, between the two facilities. And so it kind of ramped up again about the time you took your job here. Mm-hmm. That's when it really started, about a year ago.
Okay.
And so once that happened, we knew what we wanted, and so we just shot for the moon again and called in the sales reps and kind of went over what we want, and they made it happen, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, did it go through a number of revisions, or was it, because
or research?
Research. Yeah, like, did you go and see what other arenas a similar size had, or kind of how did you come to this layout, I guess?
Well, we honestly, we have a ribbon over here. We wanted to make the ribbon go all the way around, but we realized that spectators would block it. So that's why it ended up on one end. Mm-hmm. I did travel to a couple of different facilities and looked at some different systems. I went to Watertown, South Dakota, and looked at what their high school had and liked what they had, but knew that we were shooting bigger than that. It was just neat to kind of get an opinion. Mm-hmm. And we were also, there was some questions being asked in the community, why so much money? Can we do it cheaper with other equipment? And I was always, let's not do that, because there's certain limitations. And the relationship with Daktronics and Huron and state sports in South Dakota, right, with DakStats and the integration and the state tournaments and public broadcasting coming in. I mean, it seems like we're all lumped together. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of, in the end, we decided we better stick and stay with Daktronics. And I don't know, Scott, would you say we probably added to this more than took away? I think we added things to the project.
From the initial. Well, I mean, part of what we went off of in getting the quote from Daktronics was that original estimate, and I think it was a 2020 or 2021 estimate originally, and then trying to piece that stuff together, and we did kind of put a committee together at the request of our superintendent, and had a number of people that were stakeholders in that, a couple community members, a couple school board members, a couple of our coaches. We had a student sit on that. Mike obviously was a part of that, our buildings and grounds person, and myself. So we did try to do some vetting of a couple different companies, and like Mike said, there's some things that are just a little bit scary to move away from the quality that Daktronics has, and kind of the market share piece, and obviously, like, we figured out a way to make it work within the budget, based on kind of our circumstances and what we had available. And I think the process was very important, and I think we did it right in the end. Updates were needed in both places, and then we're setting up for the first football game we host, and I ended up calling Mike. I'm like, our ad board is not turning on.
Yeah, it was dead.
Oh, no.
So that was almost fortuitous, because it really added to the urgency of the whole project.
So maybe aging equipment was part of it, but you were looking at this project, you said, before COVID, and then that machine dying on the way. Did that kind of push things along, or was this just part of the timeline, part of the process? Like you said, it wasn't part of your job or anything. It was just, hey, this is part of that comes with the job. But was that just, hey, this is underway as you were coming in?
Well, I think, like I said, it was almost fortuitous that happened because it really pushed for the urgency of the project, especially at the stadium. We had functional boards here, and we didn't have an issue, thankfully, this fall and into this winter while the project was underway. But I don't know. I think it added a little bit of, like, this is something that needs to get done, and if we wait too long, then we're going to have bigger issues than just the ad board going out.
I was going to say, especially if it's the ad board for whose ever ad it was, right?
We started looking at ad revenue, especially when that board went down, so we could tell the advertisers that were on it that, listen, it's not operating.
We're doing what we can.
We're doing what we can.
Yeah.
And the irony was I had been contacted by a local credit union that wanted to change, their logo had changed, and they wanted to change the logo out there. And that was part of the reason I went out too, and we couldn't make it work. And I think there's still going to be advertisers with us. We kind of, at the beginning of this year, we canceled all of our ad contracts for our facilities because we knew we were going to redo them. And when we started going back and looking, we were still charging 2004 rates in 2024.
Okay.
When inflation had gone up 67% since then.
Yeah.
So that became another, we really should just revamp the whole system. So it was from a financial level to an equipment level to a operational level. And then one thing that we like to do, we're really proud of the Huron Arena, especially. Yeah. And it's an iconic basketball facility. It was built in the early 50s. And it's owned by a school district. It's the only Coliseum-style facility in the state that's owned by a school district.
Okay.
Your other big facilities are college facilities, the Premier Center, the Monument. We have to keep up with those.
Yeah.
To stay relevant with this facility, and that was another deciding aspect, I think.
Well, bringing in the displays has got to help with the revamping of the ad thing, right? It's not just It's not just, hey, we haven't upped it since 2004. It's also, this gives us a reason to help advertisers understand why you would need to, because you can do way more with their advertising packages now.
Yes.
Right. And maybe now's a good time for the tech call. We've kind of alluded to it. We've mentioned one here and there. But the new tech inside Huron Arena, there is a four-sided center hung. Each display is 7 feet high by 12 feet wide. The end wall, that is the largest in South Dakota sports, is 13.5 feet high by 39.5 feet wide. So the largest in high school sports in the state.
There you go.
So there's also 3 different scores tables, the ribbon display that you mentioned on the end there, and they're all 3.9 millimeter displays. There's 34 LCDs that come around in the vomitory areas there, and control system with it as well. So quite the tech upgrade in a building that was built in the 50s, you said. So it's got that unique atmosphere of that early building with the latest technology paired in it now. Yeah,
and it's just crazy to even, because we keep seeing this, right? Because this board looks amazing, like you said, largest and all that. But then it's like right above us, there's a really nice center hung too.
Right.
I don't know if maybe either one of you, if you want to take it, it's just that, sometimes people, at least at first, they'll go with one versus the other. Like, this can obviously support a center hung too, but is it kind of, what was the thought of having a big end wall and a center hung kind of at the same time? Does it kind of mirror the show a little bit on all the screens, or do you treat them kind of differently?
We treat them differently, but I want you to understand that we are so early in this. Everything was completed in stages. So at first we had our old center hung, but the end wall and the ribbon went up. Okay. And all of the mezzanine vomitory screens, as you call them, they kind of went up. So we started being able to play with them, but we didn't have any formal training. We didn't know about the layering. We didn't know anything.
Okay.
And so we just started throwing, like, kind of what you see there, only a little easier, just to have something when we were having games.
Okay.
And then the end of February, the center hung went in. And so all of a sudden, our biggest goal was we wanted to not be static signed in here. We wanted everything
Okay.
to be a video board with a virtual scoreboard. You can move things. You can
Right.
Yeah.
you can
Easily,
create
yeah.
different scoreboards and different looks and
Yeah.
etc. When it was completed, we had 2.5 weeks before we hosted a state tournament.
Right. I was going to ask, is that the plan? Like, let's get this done before the state tournament?
Yes.
Well, I think our hope was that it was going to happen sooner, and then we had some, logistical things, especially with the center hung, ensuring that, we had the structure to support the additional weight, and that was a process, but it actually ended up that we were way over the grade we needed to be able to support it.
Yeah.
So it ends up not being really a concern, but it was part of what held up the process a little bit. And so
Yeah.
we ended up kind of changing the timeline on what was going to go up and come down and when it was going to. We did it all only having to move one basketball game out of this
wow.
facility.
It's pretty good.
And then when it went up, we were able to get 20 games in because, as Mike said, it's a kind of a premier basketball facility. We bring in a lot of outside. So we had region tournament games. We had our local 281 small school conference games.
SODAC
We had a couple
games.
of our games.
ESD
playoff
wrestling.
games. Yeah. So we had a number of things that we were able to get off.
All during the install.
And play around with. So.
Jeez.
So, the facility it doesn't just close. So.
No, I was going to ask what kind of sports do you play in here too, and you kind of were hitting on them too, right? You got wrestling, you got basketball. What other kind of ones are in here, at least just for Huron, maybe, if you're not thinking of special ones?
cheer and dance,
Okay.
wrestling, volleyball, basketball. That's pretty much from sports. We do have band expos in here for our marching band.
Yeah.
There's rentals for dart tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
AAU wrestling, which is an outside entity. It's a busy facility.
I was just going to say, that's a lot of stuff going on aside from the big tournaments and other things. And that just, I think, proves more to your point about not having a static scoreboard in there anywhere, because you can do different looks. But when you have so many different events, you don't have to worry about is that good for volleyball or wrestling? And when it's a video board, right, you can just make it good for that sport.
Well, one thing that happened also during the COVID shutdown, for distancing reasons, we started hosting all of our elementary school concerts in this facility.
Oh, okay.
And we still do it.
Okay.
So we'll pull out bleachers.
Yeah.
The kids are over here, camera system that we can now incorporate into the system. Graduations are held in here.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
So, and what do we have, 5 or 6 of those concerts where they're scheduled 2 concerts in a row, so like for kindergarten, first grade, or
Okay,
second,
yeah.
third,
Yep.
each grade. So there'll be 2 concerts a night, but we do several of them.
What was it like when everything was turned on, maybe for the first event? But can you think of a time, whether it was maybe that board or the center hung, like your first event where everything was in use, and what that reaction was like, either from yourselves or the crowd and the audience?
Well, the first event, I think that we kicked on the ribbon, and that it was a basketball game.
Okay.
And
Before the state one still? or is
Yes,
it- okay.
yes,
Okay.
we had some lead up. This would have been late January, early February, probably. And with my networking and being able to remote into systems, I actually sat over there with some friends and I was controlling the board.
Nice.
And the people behind me, like at halftime, were like, "Is that you?"
They
And
caught on to what
they're
you were
like,
doing.
You're running it from right here," and I said, "Yeah. Our systems are upstairs in
Okay.
our press box, and so we can control it from anywhere."
That's awesome.
I honestly made some changes their prom night when they had prom here,
Okay.
the high school, and the signs had freaked out, and they called me, and I was actually out of town, and I remoted in, and I fixed it for them remotely. So
Oh, wow. So good connectivity there.
yeah. So
And that kind of like tied into another part of this that we wanted to bring up, right? Is that we've talked about the displays, they look great, but as a part of this project, obviously, is you need a control system to help run it all. So maybe just take us through like where is the control room and how was that process? Did you have to expand maybe the size of it, or were you able to?
well, we went into our press box upstairs.
Okay.
Okay.
The crow's nest. And we put all of the Daktronic controllers right next to our audio system. And then I already had a DMX lighting control software because we do have a full lighting show that we can use for events and spotlights and things like that. And a computer that does music up there, and we just put show control right next to it.
Okay.
And so we have our own little production thing. Radio stations that come in for state tournaments weren't happy that we took up a lot of our own space.
Oh, yeah.
But we said, you can be there, you can be there. This is ours.
It's like you see all these new
Yeah,
things in here.
exactly.
We need
So
some space
This
to run
needs
them.
to
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
And, and it took a team to really, we benefited a lot. I'll tell you, 2.5 weeks before state tournament, everything's installed, and we get the, I guess basically the idea of what the scoreboard's going to look at, like from Daktronics. And
Okay.
I out loud said, "Does this function?" on the phone with the guy, and he said, "No, you'll have to set that up." We didn't have training,
Okay.
and our training wasn't scheduled until
After the state or
just
After an event?
right before.
right before?
But we had a basketball game, regular season coming up. And so I'm sitting there just kind of having a meltdown. And a gentleman from Minneapolis comes over and says, "I'm actually with Daktronics, and they sent me here to make sure."
Things go all right.
So I kind of had one-on-one training with him
Okay.
beforehand. And it was wonderful service
Yeah.
on that aspect.
Nice.
And so we had him for a week, got through our games. And then our training was right before state tournament. We had 3 days with the trainer, Corey. And then when he left, he said, "By the way, I'm scheduled to be here for at least 2 days at your state tournament." So we had him
To help.
upstairs with us if we needed help with anything.
On hand. Okay.
And I have a great staff. We have a student named Jackson who helps us out. We have a former student named Shelby who was helping us out. I have an assistant coworker. His name's Tully Bartell. He big hand in that. He has a graphic arts background,
Oh,
and
nice.
so he's been doing a lot of these little AI things
Yeah.
with me, and a lot of the programming. And we were all just kind of a big team, to the point where Corey's like, "You guys, you got this.
Yeah.
You're figuring things out just as we go."
Yeah. I was going to ask what your production looked like. You named a few people there. Is that kind of how many you have in the control and in the prep side of it? Do you have certain cameras or anything as well?
We're looking into cameras.
Oh, okay.
Right now, the only camera is we do have a huddle cam, which
Oh,
is
sure.
one of those automated
Yeah.
cameras. During the state tournament, we had public broadcasting on the center hung with the scoreboard at the bottom.
Okay.
During our graduation, we had a slideshow, and then half of it was the live video. Just that ability to move and zone and change things.
Yeah.
You mentioned a little bit of the feedback that you got from the fans that were around you, noticing you were controlling it. Have you heard anything more, even from like the students or student athletes that have seen them, or I'm on the big screen?
You want to take this one?
I mean, it was kind of fun. Like, state tournament teams will come in and practice the day before, and it's always kind of fun for me to be at that door when they walk in, because then they kind of look around, and you kind of alluded to it, where we've got this building that is 75 years old, so you got a lot of the like relic type classic look, and then you've got all these different technological capabilities that we can do, and kids walking in are just like, "Geez, they play their high school games here," and some of those comments are really fun, and I think like Mike said, we're at the very beginning of what we can really do with it. I think our student athlete experience will be drastically different even from what they had when we used it for the last couple of games, just because of these guys will get more efficient. We'll have a student team that can maybe play around with some of the production and
Cool.
prep work with it. So I think that's something that I'm looking forward to, that I think will change as we get into this year compared to last year. But a lot of people had a lot of really fun comments to listen to, players and fans alike, coming in. People in the community were excited about it when they started to see it.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a slow rollout because we had a couple of these pieces that were up and we could turn some things on, but we couldn't use the scoreboard with them until
okay.
it was all
And you're
wired
still having
together.
public events during all that, so some
Right.
people saw
Yeah.
bits and pieces
Right.
too of it. Yeah.
Oh, even during the construction, we have during the winter we have people come in and they can walk laps inside
Oh, okay.
for safety.
Nice.
With our arena walkers and
Arena walkers.
They would just
day
stop. They would
walkers.
just stop and stare like when the tiger that you see up there right now.
Yeah.
And they'd be just like, whoa. And even today, when I turned the boards on this
Yeah.
morning, the girls were practicing. Their coach looked at me and said, "Were these on?" And I said, "No, I just turned them on." And then all of her players just stood there and stared at that end board because they had never seen those graphics.
Yeah,
before.
I mean, even us
So,
coming in, because we came in with our equipment right by the side over there,
Yep.
and that was on, and it was like I already knew it was walking in. It was going to be a 3.9, so a pretty tight pixel pitch,
Yep,
but
yep.
that is very, very sharp.
Yeah. And the Fire Tigers kind of got the girls going.
Oh, yeah.
They hadn't. We just came up with those. So.
Oh, there
That's
you go.
pretty cool.
That's a Tully Bartell creation. I have to give credit where credit's due. So.
Yeah, and you even mentioned, think of it like a student group, and you mentioned one student at least when you're talking about control. Are they working with show control or the different system in the press box?
Show control, and then the
Content studio?
content studio, just so you can set up the slides. Thank you.
Yeah, yep.
I should have written all this down. There's so much. So the one student is learning it, and we're going to kind of use him as a liaison of sorts.
The student involvement, was that a big discussion during the project as it was going up? Because we've heard examples sometimes of they may use that to offset a community if they're worried about, geez, do we need to spend that much money on that? Should it go this way? But when you start saying that there's an educational aspect to it, right? Then sometimes that can help offset things. Was that ever, a part of it is bringing in students to help learn this and get an education that way?
Well, it's definitely a part of. I mean, part of it is just feasibility.
Yeah.
Just having students being able to operate it makes it more feasible to do more events and things like that. But like I said, I came from Watertown where they really have an incredible student production team and kind of had the right people in place to help that thing run. I don't know that we're going to get to that point in the next year, but we've got a video productions class that will kind of change their focus to playing with the graphics on here.
Yeah, we also have a TV studio crew.
Oh, okay.
So
Awesome.
our announcements at the high school, we have a public access channel through Midco.
Okay.
And they do announcements daily during the school year. And a lot of those students actually work for us to do and help out with the webcasting. And our webcasting camera systems, even though we have to set it up here, they're still remote controlled. Mm-hmm. And so we're able to have a student on a switcher and have a student on the joystick and moving the cameras and changing the shots in our high school auditorium and here at the arena. And,
Yeah,
and we can cover our events that way.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of possibilities with how you can work some of that into the video displays now, and you're starting. This is the first year with
Early
it, and
on,
you
yep.
you can start building upon that and maybe see new opportunities to incorporate.
Yeah, and I think some kids will grab greater interest as kids get to play around with it too. But it definitely was a part of the selling point to advertisers and community members. Like, this is something that we're going to be able to give kids some real hands-on experience and let them play with some really cool toys and get them some experience and maybe put them in a position to do this at a different place or a bigger venue and things like that.
If they move on to college.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's
These are
what we
things.
find out a lot from talking to a lot of different customers is that it's a whole new career path.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the kids just didn't know that was a career path, right?
Right.
So they can go into college, and we talked to, I forget his name, he's at LSU now, but they just gotten a video board at their high school. He did really good there, show control. Well, they had show control at the college. And so he started as a freshman helping out with different things. And we talked to him going into his sophomore year, and they're going to let him help with the football games. And he was just like,
I think that was Brandon Shee.
there
at
you go.
Mizzou.
Yeah. Oh, it was Mizzou. My bad, Mizzou. But it was one of those examples. He loved it because they just got the video board his senior year, I think it was.
Yep.
And he's like, I'd love to do this in college. Found out he can do it in college. And then you can do it in professional level. You can come back and be an event producer in college. You can be a freelancer. He said something. It was one of those, I had no idea this was a career path.
Right.
because you may have like a broadcasting group or something, and they always think that that's the career path, right? It has to be broadcasting, maybe TV, but there's a whole live event production side of that some kids just don't know about.
Yeah, exactly. And we love including our students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to really want to do it,
Right.
you know. And unfortunately, a lot of the athletes are busy with their events, so it's a different subset of students at times. But we do have some athletes that help us out. They just can't be there all the time.
Or there's kids that might not be interested in sports and playing the sports, but they like being around sports, and they can come in and do a technical side of things to help with the production and still be around sports even if they're not on the court.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It's like Scott was saying, though, too, is that once someone does something and they start saying it's cool, look, I did that, I made that, it can
Yeah.
get interest from other kids. And then that's like maybe right, like Watertown has more right now. And you're very early on, but it's definitely going to be one of those, especially with nice boards like this, when kids can just show off, I did that, did this, it generates more buzz around
I'm
it.
glad you brought that up, because Jackson, the one student that he went through training, you know, with us, and he was controlling the system majority of the time during the state tournament, and every time he hit a button, he'd be like, "I have the power." He was having so much fun. He was a sophomore, you know, up there running this $1 million system, you know, just having a great time with it. And I love to see that.
Yeah, there was it's the power of this made me think of this. I was at a Major League Baseball game. I think it was at the Rockies.
Okay.
And they did a Star Wars night.
Oh, that
And
would've been
there was like a college kid that was in there helping out in the audio equipment, and he goes, "Watch this!" And every now and then he'd hit a button, and it was just like the blasters going pew 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 pew, and he just loved it. Like he goes, "I got power right now to do this," because he was authorized to do that whenever, as long as the batter wasn't up. So he would just randomly like make it sound like there's blasters going off around the stadium. But what advice would you give some who's going through something similar to what you just went through? So I know throw to you, Scott, first, and then we'll go to Mike. But like, so if there is an activities director, arena manager going through and looking at upgrading their arena or their facilities, is there something from this process that you learned that you would give some advice to?
I would start with where my regrets are, and I don't know that I have a lot of regrets in terms of how our process went. I think our superintendent was savvy in trying to put together a committee. I probably wouldn't have gone through that, work, but we met a couple different times, and it allowed us to really show some important stakeholders, like here's what we're comparing against, with a couple different products, and you allow some people that can go out in the community and advocate for you to be a part of that process. I think that was really important. I would say that was good advice. We sent our technical expertise around to a couple different places to see. I think that helped us to sell what we were going to do, and it also helped us to be prepared when we got things put in. And it gives us a network of people to reach out to help us out too. So I think those are two pieces that I would recommend and say were valuable for us in the process. We were lucky that, like he's talked about, our business manager was really on board and was always kind of thinking through what possibilities are there and what the adaptability or flexibility would give us. And we had a couple school board members that were really supportive and pushing for something that really raises the bar for us and kind of puts us in a relevant spot with other venues in the state.
Yeah.
You can take this a technical route, Mike, or you were involved early on, so whatever way you want to take that.
I wouldn't want anyone to go at it and compare how we did it with what they need to do. And this isn't me trying to toot my own horn, but just my background and being here for so long and having experience with the Venus software, even outside of the school district with my church. We've got a board, a decent Galaxy board, and having that experience and running it for 20 years before we were placed. If you don't have that experience, take your time, learn, rely on Daktronics to help you out. I mean, you guys have like amazing support and amazing training, and that is just something we were able to do what we did because we had a background. if you're going in blind, if you're going from just a plain old scoreboard and you want to go to a video or type system, take your time and learn how to do it. Learn how to do it right, so you don't get overwhelmed by it.
Okay.
Because it can be very, very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a do as I say, not as I do.
It kind of is.
Yeah. It's more of a look at your current situation and make the right decisions for the situation you're in. Because your situation was different than what others might be in.
And just rely on the Daktronics people to kind of help you come up with what you want, but also communicate with them. We had been just discussing before anything was even bought, sold, laid out, with them how we were going to do advertising, and Jerry kind of had an idea about it. And then after everything was installed, Jerry and Kyle walked in here to take pictures, and the first thing out of Jerry's mouth was, I'm completely underselling you guys.
Just how nice the
He's
board
like,
looks.
oh my, that thing is massive.
Yeah.
He's like, look at how great that looks. And so he was just like, yeah, we're going to change that. And he went back and we kind of adapted our ad campaign.
And you were restructuring your ad talks with everyone already, right?
Yeah.
So.
And so it was great input. I mean, I don't, going back to the I can't really put into words what my advice would be to people, but other than rely on the experts.
Yeah.
Turned out all right. Now you've got this fantastic venue with amazing new screens and new toys to play with, and more things to come in the future as you learn and evolve with the system. But we want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with us today and share all about the great things going on in Huron today.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.